I'm ready too. It's a Tuesday night, late night happy hour. Fired up. Just watched the replay of my college basketball team get slaughtered, so I'm in a mood. I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Willie's here. Allie's here. Allie, of course, gets all gussied up. He says, I don't do any gussing these days unless I have to leave the house, which I only leave the house on Thursday and Friday for shows. So I'm basically a slob the first 3 days of the week. And we know Willie always looks good because he's out lifting, pumping iron. He's making big meals. He's doing the carbs, making sure the head is not shiny when he doesn't want it to be shiny. So how you guys doing tonight?
I'm rocking and rolling. Yeah. I got to say, Willie, you inspired me in our last show that we did together. The next morning I had done a live pod for a free pick, and it was the Zone Collins thing. And so on both of my live podcasts that day, I made it really, really clear. Please don't go out, drink and drive. There are other ways and this, that. And I told the story of Zone and 19-year-old kid and all that. So you were with me in spirit when I was passing that message along.
To be
also,
motivational.
I started using my Fitbit, and I think you might have had something to do with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I've never done the Fitbit. The only thing that I've ever strapped on is the Polar. You put this across, the strap that goes across, and then it reads your heart rate. So it tells you when you're in your zone, where you're supposed to be, and so on and so forth. So, but I've never used the Fitbit.
I love it. I love it because it's like a personal game. I need something to keep me going, and it'll you got to get your 10,000 steps every day, and it buzzes you once an hour, and it's yo, you got 100 left, you can do it. So I was into it for a while, and then the breakup happened, and I kind of went to being, a degenerate and being fat and sad. And now I'm back to wanting to look hot, and I'm using Bud Light and my Fitbit. So if I get my steps, then I can drink Bud Light again. So that's how it came back.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Nice. A woman after my heart with the tall boys. Love those. Love those. You know what? Allie mentioned Collins and the accident last week and the 52-year-old who passed away as a result of the accident. Willie, what have you heard? Because there's a lot of interesting details about Collins and his connections to UNLV and his driving history. I didn't realize he had been dinged so many times by the cops for driving like a lunatic.
Yeah, I didn't either, and I want to say that I had heard maybe Tyler bring it up. I was baffled just because of his age, in how many times he had been, written up, or how many citations, and the extremity of what the citations were for. That's what was shocking at such a young age. I mean, when I was 18, 19, I had tickets, speeding tickets, and so on and so forth. But, yeah, like Brady's putting out, I mean, driving on the wrong side of the road. I mean, it's troubling because you have to wonder if he is approaching life when you're on that level, if he's approaching it with a invincible mentality, like I can do what I want. And that's the scary thing, not just with him, but just in today's society, in today's up and coming, athletes or celebrities, even, 14, 15, 16-year-old entertainers, whether you're an athlete, whatever, if you're high profile at a young age, it seems like there's more invincibility, the mindset, than back in our day. I don't know how many people really were fearless in terms of that they were untouchable, and that's the way it's coming across.
Allie, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, you have to go there, right? Why is nobody disciplining this kid? I don't even know how many years ago it was. I think I was 22 and I got a DUI, 23 maybe. And it was a shit show. It was horrible. It was the worst thing that ever happened. I never, ever wanted to do that again, and it was like a life lesson, but someone has to hold you accountable. I can't imagine that if someone just took care of it for me, that I would have been so vigilant about not allowing that to happen again, so that's important. Yeah. You're a kid. You need discipline. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. There's a lot of, there's a lot of pampered kids, and beyond this. And I really don't want to, this is such a touchy subject because just a man died. A man died that's my age. I'm going to be 52 in May. I mean, so, I don't want to sit here and the way that the lawyers are being complete lawyers, obviously, that and what's crazy is that it's the same law team that's representing him that's representing Josh Jacobs. And of course, David Chesnoff, I don't know I can't remember if he's still partners, but him and Oscar Goodman were their law firm before Oscar was the mayor. That was Chesnoff and Goodman. So, he's got some powerful lawyers. Someone's paying for it.
Well, that's one of the side stories I want to get to, but I wanted to finish up on the driving thing because, you're right. Chesnoff has represented everyone, really any big name who's gotten in trouble in Vegas in the past, and they certainly made strong statements about Josh Jacobs. So we'll see what happens with that situation. On the driving thing, it's a good question, Brady. How does a kid still have a driver's license when he's had that many citations? I would have been scared shitless when I was 19 if I had that many times in trouble. Now, that said, if you listen to the show, I don't go in on drivers and reckless drivers because I have always been a lunatic and I'm still a lunatic. So I'm not here to judge. And to your point, Willie, about feeling untouchable, I did feel untouchable when I was a kid and I was driving early, and I don't know if I drove on the wrong side of the road, but I guarantee I did 88 into 35. Guarantee it. So full disclosure, I am a moron. I was a moron. I'm still a moron. One thing I did think about, though, the car is interesting because that's a lot of car for a 19-year-old. And when I was a kid, I had jalopies to start off with. I was given my older brother's Chevette in '88. It was a stick Chevette. But even in that car, I could drive like a fucking moron. I spun out one time and it was rain. I hydroplaned, but I spun out into a hill. I've got 9 lives driving. I spun out into a hill, going 65 miles an hour. But I had junkers after that, but I still drove like a freaking asshole.
Your first car was a Chevette?
My first car was a Chevette. And then from there, I basically had my father always, it's funny. I was just thinking about it tonight. The SO has a car she just paid off, and it's actually a year newer than my car. And we will have her car for a while. Well, guess who will be driving her car in 2 years? It'll be me. And that was always the way my dad was too. My mother always had a new car. My dad always drove a piece of shit because he commuted. He commuted like an hour each day, and he was like, "What's the point of getting a new car?" But I would always kind of get that hand me down up until I was 20, and it was it was a Buick Century with a hole in the fucking floor in the back. I think the Chevette had a hole in the front under my feet, and he did. I didn't do shit. He put sheet metal under it. We had a Reliant K car. He had some junker 15-year-old truck. But I could always drive like a moron. I cannot imagine at 19 what I would have been like in a Dodge Challenger, a 2016 Dodge Challenger. I don't know what kind he had, but the horsepower in that, I would have been a freaking complete lunatic.
I started with a 68 VW Bug.
I drive. I hate it.
Oh, really? Look at Vegas Bill says I drove like an idiot, got 3 tickets before 18, lost my license for 2 years. No clue how he had his license still, but I think that's part of the story. He's now got David Chesnoff representing him. He obviously had some good legal people. Probably in the end wasn't the best thing for him, but he must have had some good legal people around him, Willie, to get him out of those previous driving incidents. So, and sometimes, getting that free pass only makes it worse because you feel empowered and you feel untouchable.
Yeah, we're from Houston, so we all drive like it's NASCAR. That's how you drive when you drive in Texas. I became a much better driver once I have it. Now I don't drive like an asshole because I have a kid and, things like that. But my dad wrote life insurance for police my entire life for 35 years or something in Houston. So I was always under the thing of, if I get pulled over by a cop, my dad is definitely going to find out. And my brother, who's 2 years younger, was always under the if I get pulled over by the cop, he'll know my dad and I can get out of the ticket, which worked for him. That happened all the time. But now he's totaled cars and didn't have such a good run and ended up getting in trouble in cities that weren't Houston and things like that. So, I get it, where it's just not something that you worry about because someone's going to fix it for you. Whereas I just didn't want to get in trouble. So,
yeah. And
That was
and
my whole take.
I was going to say, that area. Are you guys familiar with that area out there in Fort Apache where it really starts to kind of open up and there's nothing around, south of Rhodes Ranch? I mean,
yeah.
You can, although the road is like really freaking wavy, and there's not a whole lot on the side of the road in terms of like any sort of protection. So, but I can see people being stupid and opening it up, and wrong place, wrong time for the poor 52-year-old. And yeah, I'm going to say I don't think we have to say that's the story. So yeah, I don't need anyone coming at me like, what about the guy? Like, he's the story. But we're discussing the news item here. Sadly, is still the kid remaining who's a high-level college basketball recruit. And this is real interesting because now you got UNLV like in the crosshairs of what do they do? Like if the kid got a slap on the wrist, can he ever play here in town? What's the deal with the car? Are there any other things that would entangle UNLV? And I think UNLV's in a position. What do you think, Willie? They're in a position where they're like, I don't think we can come out and smash this kid yet. Like we got to let this play out a little bit, see where it goes with the legal system. But see, Allie, there's a lot more than just what you're seeing out front. There's a lot more.
I get that, but can you just imagine all the fans chanting murderer, murderer? I mean, like seriously, that's not a good look. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Good look.
I don't know if Rebel fans are going to shout that. You're definitely going to get that from the visiting fans. But
that's what I mean.
I don't. Here's the thing. It's a catch-22. If he were to get a slap on the wrist, for whatever reason, and I think aren't they saying that is it this case where the guy made a wrong turn or something to that effect? But he neither here nor there. The speed that he was driving and his past driving history, that alone is a character flaw. You know what I mean? I don't want to ride this kid into the ground and kick him while he's down. But at the same token, that's a character flaw that you're bringing into a program with other impressionable 18, 19, 20-year-old. What does that message send that, hey, we're going to bring this kid who's invincible? I go back to that where you can get away with everything with a high-powered lawyer who's paid for you, and we're bringing him into the program. If this kid, if he pled, that I didn't mean it, and he's never had a prior record, he's never, and his driving record was impeccable, and this is totally uncharacteristic, it's one thing, but this is habitual. Now what happens if you bring him into the program and he does it again? He does something similar. You learn your lesson. Somebody died, and I'm sure the kid is not going to go out and purposely, but you don't know. Because we also don't know about the leafy green substance. Again, hey, we're in a legal state. You can smoke weed, but you can't smoke weed and drive if you're completely fucked up. You know what I mean? You go out. I have this argument all the time. Especially with if I go to my mom's house. I don't like to smoke weed during the day or when I'm going to cover stuff, whatever. I have to be completely done with everything if I'm going to partake in any sort of THC substance when I'm in the privacy of my home. And it's mainly for pain management because I refuse to take any sort of pain medication anymore. 6-7 years ago, I told the doctors, no more narcotic. I've been in the hospital. Keep that shit out of the drip. I don't want no narcotic. But I've talked to Mom. She's, well, you said you smoked and you came here or whatever. I said, Mom, if you have a couple of glasses of wine and you come home from dinner, you're driving. But when you get high and stoned, who knows what this kid did to himself and who knows what he's going to do down the road. That's the character flaw you're bringing into a program when he's habitually been a bad driver.
Well, and if he's drinking and smoking, like I drink and I smoke, but when I drink and smoke, it's like a different thing, So, drinking and smoking together is just its own shit show, for lack of a better word. You do not belong behind the wheel of a car when that's going on.
So a couple of people have asked why hasn't UNLV moved on? And Havasu George says, why hasn't UNLV revoked a scholarship? I told you earlier, there's entanglements here. They can't just walk away. Now on the front end of this whole thing, I know everyone hates to hear it. We do have a justice system, and they do have to let it play out to a certain point where they're so uncomfortable that they want to back off. But I'm telling you, college basketball is a really interesting thing to cover behind the scenes, and there's some entanglements here. That car, having a 2016 car that's, well, I don't know what it's worth, $32,000, whatever it's worth. By the way, was it a Charger or a Challenger? Did I get it wrong? Someone said Charger earlier. Challenger, right? So that car is registered. Is it an agent? Is it someone connected to a supporter of the program? So they're going to let it play out, and it's not comfortable, to let that happen, but they're going to let it play out. And a lot like the Josh Jacobs situation, the Raiders aren't going to make any statements. We don't know all the facts yet. It's a suspicion of a DUI. They don't have a blood test result, so they got to wait on that. And I'm telling you, with both of these guys being represented by Chesnoff, this is going to be really fascinating to follow. I think the lesson, because we just talked about a bunch of lessons with Collins. To me, the lesson with Jacobs, if he's drunk, not great, right? The other thing is, dude, if you leave a trail of proof of what you were doing throughout the night, I don't understand athletes. Like, you may make a bad decision, and that's the story, is him getting into an accident and maybe being impaired. But what's with the fucking Instagram? What's with your friends posting pictures, the tweets? Like, if you know you may be walking that fine line, you shouldn't be posting any of that shit, because it makes it really easy.
What did he post? Fill me in on this. Like, I get the gist of it. Raiders.
A lot of the stuff got deleted. Willie, what have you seen that was posted?
I haven't. I never went on and went through the social media, so I just know it's off rumor, so I haven't seen it.
So, well, we do know he was hanging out at Topgolf, right? Now it's a short video, and I saw some Raiders fans already defending him, like, I don't see any drinks in place, and he was at Topgolf. He may have gone somewhere after, right? Obviously, the accident was at 4:20 in the morning. It was 4:42, I think, on the police report. So whatever he was doing after Topgolf, and he may not have been driving until that very close to the accident. Like, maybe someone dropped him off at his car. There's a lot there. You know what I mean? But again, you got to let the process play out, because Chesnoff already said we are not, or if he is charged, we are pleading not guilty. So they must have something they feel like, hey, he's not at fault somehow.
My question is, when you are making millions of dollars and you're a pro athlete and you're going to go out, you're going to do whatever, why are you how do you not have, forget about even if you're not good, let's say you're not going to drink, how do you not have personal security for people who can step to you just to cause something and get you on video these days, to provoke anything? Where are your handlers? Where are your personal, whatever, your boys? I mean, just your boys. I mean, my son goes out and they all got each other's back. This is a millionaire. You can't afford to have someone driving you around for the night or protecting you, or your own personal security. I mean, I don't know.
You would think. Actually, if you're going to hang around the guy and siphon off him, and I have no idea who Josh Jacobs' friends are in town and if they siphon off him or they're really good friends. But yeah, Jacobs made the main mistake, but his friends, if they dropped him off and he was impaired, that's horrific. And listen, I think we've all been in situations where you encounter people where you're like, dude, or chick, like, you should not be driving, and it turns into a freaking battle. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if Jacobs forced his way into driving, but it's a bad look. And man, I'll just say, each of these errors is individual in nature, but goddamn, the Raiders, since they've been here, have got a laundry list of mistakes from their players. This has not been a good start for the Raiders. Let's not even talk about on the field, but off the field, managing COVID and then stupid mistakes. And I mean, even, what's funny is, even going back to, you remember right before we started to really get introduced to the Raiders on the ground here in Vegas, you remember PJ Hall, who's not on the team anymore? Like, it was like the first or second night he's in town, and he was basically like mother effing Metro for pulling him over and giving him a ticket. And it's like, dude, you don't remember that? Oh yeah, PJ Hall, he got a speeding ticket, kind of joked about it and was like, thanks Metro, being sarcastic. And then, as it turned out, the Raiders felt like he was out of shape and he couldn't pass a physical. He eventually moved on and was actually decently productive. But that was like one of the first things. Then you have Bowden dumped, right? Who knows what happened with Lynn Bowden? That one was beneath the surface. I'm probably missing about 15 other
I
things.
remember the tip incident when the guy didn't tip properly when he was out. I remember that.
How about the guy? What's the guy's name? I can't even think of the guy's name. The from the secondary, and with when he got the phone call and he blamed it on the Southern Nevada Health District. What's the guy's name?
Oh God,
Levitt.
I don't. Yeah, that was ridiculous. And he started doing the COVID hoaxing thing and the
straight clown, and it wasn't even the health district. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You go back to these guys think that they can do and say anything they want. It goes back to invincibility.
I don't know. I felt like all this was coming with the Raiders. Like this is why I'm not into the Raiders. This is not like a secret, it's just this Raider mentality. And I don't care if you're in Oakland or LA or in Vegas, I'm not a Raider fan. And until like Vegas, weren't we putting things on that? Like there was going to be no Raider hooliganism in the city of Las Vegas. And like, weren't they preparing?
Allie, here's the thing. We were worried about the fans. The fans they're not even here yet. The Raiders organization was able to do this all on their own. The fans aren't here yet.
Great point. Yes, but there it is, right? Like whatever with these Raiders. Thanks.
No, I don't. Yeah, I agreed 100%. It's not even the fans aren't. The people don't even know yet, and they're already judging the fans, and it's just and I get it. The Raiders have that stigmatism that comes with them, but I just don't know if it's the Raiders or if it's the pro athlete mentality. And here we started talking about Collins. It's this high prize athlete, high profile, high prized, and you just you have that above everybody else mentality that you can do whatever you want, you can say whatever you want, and that's the sad thing. I mean, we really haven't had that situation with the Golden Knights. I don't know if that's a hockey mentality or football mentality. I don't want to compare Golden Knights to Raiders or Rebels as much as just I don't know if it's a different. I know when they first came here, a lot of us media members, we were stunned at the way that they dealt with the media and spoke to the media compared to college athletes. Because at the time we didn't have the Raiders. So we were comparing it to anything else that we had dealt with here in Las Vegas over decades. And it was just a different vibe, different mentality. I mean, you go from talking to Jonathan Marchessault and Marc-Andre Fleury every single day to college athletes or sometimes high school athletes. As much as I've covered high school athletes, it's a completely different vibe.
Allie, thoughts?
I mean, I get that. And maybe, Brady was saying in the chat something about that it's not just Raiders. It could be any football. But you know what? For me, it is the Raiders because I felt like we saw this coming and now it's here. And so it is the Raiders. I don't hear about this stuff in other. I know it happens in other cities, but it is what it is. And yeah, and that's just it. We don't have this issue with others.
And, the problem here is we already have a rep and pro sports was worried about coming here and athletes potentially acting like jackasses because they would be wooed by the city. And I made the case repeatedly. I'm like, it could happen anywhere, but here's the deal right now. It's happening here. So collectively, it makes the city look like a bunch of assholes.
It does.
We're all undisciplined goofballs. And I'll roll in. Listen, I know there are things that are beyond your control sometimes, but UNLV's handling of COVID with football and basketball ain't been good either.
No,
this is not for our biggest teams in town. There's been missteps. A bunch of them over the last 6 months. And I'll be honest. I don't know why I have to be honest. If I were at a rival Mountain West Conference school and I enjoyed negative recruiting, I would bring it up against the football program.
Well, not only that, but let's go over everything since COVID started. The NHL was going to bring a playoff bubble here. And then the entire town, the Spikes, after there was the brief opening or so the NHL, they were set to come here. And that was squashed because of the spikes in cases. So it's not just how the Raiders handled it. It's not just how UNLV handled it. It's not just how basketball, football. It's the town. It makes the overall, like now, what came out? The NBA, It's going to cost $2 billion, Seattle and Las Vegas. But at the same token, they're going, man, what a shit show. The last year, how would they handle it? How can we bring up? What do we want to bring a pro town there? I mean, what's going on there? It's not making us look bad as citizens. It's just I mean, well, I guess it does because it's making the whole city look bad, and we're all lumped in. So now, why would the NBA consider? I mean, they probably will because someone's going to pony up the money. But you get what I'm saying? It's
Right.
beyond those teams. It's this town. The NHL was going to bring them playoffs here. Nope. Not going to do it. Toronto and Edmonton instead because COVID spiked.
That's crazy.
Not impressed. Not impressed. Believe me, I have my issues. I have my issues with VGK and the way they've treated the fans during the pandemic, and how I think they're going to treat them this coming season. So they're not scot-free. But that's those are local issues. The stuff that makes us look bad nationally is really what hurts the city overall. And we need the Strip to come back. We need people. You know what? I guess the flip side of this, though, is if you're looking to be a dickwad and you're looking for no rules and, you're anti-establishment and you've been a COVID hoaxer and fuck the rules and, screw over all these people who are, all, talking about, being careful, and I don't want to do that. I guess we still are an attraction that way. So if we were trying to get back to our original roots of being the renegade crazy town where people can come in and do whatever they want, we're back, baby.
Yeah. Well, there you have it.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that the spike and making Las Vegas look bad and so on and so forth, because there are some of us, I've been on different sides since this whole thing, and I had COVID back in last March, right after the Pac-12 women's tournament. And, when they first came out with the mask rule in June, whatever it was, I was right there saying, well, if you have a medical condition, I was like, well, good, because when I go do squats, I'm not wearing my mask and I'm taking it down during so I was one that I wore it in, but when it was my set, whoever I was working out with, I'd pull the mask down. I'd either squat or bench, whatever I was doing, but I put it back up. I wasn't an anti-masker, but at the same token, I was going, look, we're all in this gym. And if we're morally saying we don't have COVID, at some point, we're going to take the mask down. And then as it progressed, we complied. We've all done our part to comply. I think residents that don't partake or go down to the Strip, so on and so forth. So my question is, we talked about, Vegas as a town and whether it's the tourists or the people that are still partying. Does this fall on Sisolak in your guys' eyes? Because when it comes down to shutting things down, he's hitting the small businesses, 25% capacity, but he won't dare do a second shutdown knowing that the casino owners are in his pocket. They're his boss. When it comes, if they're pushing his buttons. So in a sense, how much of those spike cases can we put back on Sisolak or say, well, you never really had a good handle on this in the first place?
Allie, who do you want to blame?
I know a lot of my friends who really, really dislike Sisolak, and I get it, but I think this is such a rock and a hard place situation. And I mean, I don't think that casinos should be open. And if they are, then why can't the small bars? So, I mean, I get it from that level. But financially, how do we really close down the casinos? I mean, I hear that we're tapped on unemployment. I never even got unemployment. So I'm pissed off at Sisolak about that shit still. Okay, that I didn't get unemployment. But I mean, I get it. We need money and casinos are the way we obtain money. But it's bullshit because you're inviting the whole world into our personal corner of it and, infecting us and spiking us and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I feel like there should be a trade-off. If you're going to keep you need to give us money. If you're going to, hazard pay our asses or something because you're bringing these people into our city. I feel like Omaha doesn't have this issue. I feel like Sheboygan's probably not stressed out about this, but Vegas is different.
I think everywhere is. I think.
No, I just mean tourism. That all these people are coming into Sheboygan and ready to rage and get drunk and lose their inhibitions and not give a shit about COVID. This is a real thing for us. It's a real thing. I'm in quarantine again. I told you this happened Was it today I got the text? Yeah, my kid was hanging out with the same kid whose parents gave it to, or exposed us to it last time. And so she texts today. Now the kid has it, the 10-year-old. And she said, so-and-so's got, I don't want to give her name out, but so-and-so's got COVID, just letting you know. So here we go again, and
so then this goes back to what Willie was doing a whole kind of chicken and the egg thing. And this, it also goes back to my discussion of, the Raiders are bad, or this person's bad, or we had a bad look, with the NBA, or I'm sorry, the NHL in getting, getting the hub, right? A lot of it's our fault. You're in quarantine now. I've had multiple cases where, we've been doing the show at home, but a bunch of times I've been kind of forced to do it. Von Tobel now has to get a test. He's in quarantine because some fuckhead he works with decided to go get a COVID test because he thought he might have it, didn't feel well. He shows up for work today. He finds out after his shift, positive. Not John. No, John was exposed because someone thought they had COVID. Someone he works with thought they had COVID, got a test, waiting on the test. They went into work. It's like, what the fuck?
He didn't bother waiting for the result. He went in.
No, he showed up, and then he finds out after the shift that he's positive. So it's like that. Those things affect all of us. I've had the girlfriend multiple times has had some dill hole at her salon, not managed it the right way. And like, I didn't realize. Like, if you feel like shit or you're awaiting a test, don't come to work. Don't be around people. How far along are we in this thing where we can at least get that and have common courtesy for our coworkers and people around us?
Well, here's a kicker was that like the first time that this happened, I already hadn't seen anybody for a while. My mom was out of town, whatever. So he got exposed on Thursday. Friday, the little girl was experiencing symptoms, but we still don't know this. Saturday, Sunday, I spent the night at my mom's house. Monday, I'm back, and we find out today. So I tell my mom, who's planning on going to California, I'm about to call out my mom, y'all. Luckily, she doesn't watch the show. But so I call her. She's supposed to go to California this week on Thursday or whatever. And I'm like, yo, here's the deal. This is what's happening. And she's like, well, do you think I could still go to California? I'm like, what do you mean? I think you're supposed to get a test and quarantine for 14 days. Like, everyone's all vigilant and like quarantine and that until it fucks up your schedule, And same thing with one of my girlfriends who had come over when I was at my mom's house. We all burned together. So now we're all swapping spit with each other, So I tell her and she's like, well, I do have something planned tomorrow, but it's no, you don't, because now you've been exposed. And I get that you've been exposed through like a girl, through a kid, through a mom, through a joint. I get that. But like, am I overreacting? Isn't that still what we're supposed to be doing? Like, if you may have been exposed, you have to put it down.
Most of us have COVID fatigue, or we just don't give a shit about others.
Well, you think that everybody, everyone's on their high horse about you have to do this until it happens to you. And then it's like my mom turned into a Karen. I'm like, so it doesn't apply, but you can travel to California at school? Okay.
I don't mean to lump your mom into this, but 2 words, Steve, that you'll appreciate. Fucking stunad. That's what we're dealing with when it cut, Ali, you're right. When it cut, we're all going to point the fingers, and I don't mean we, the 3 of us, because when I had it, I quarantined in my room, but there's people out there that are pointing the finger. No, wear the mask, But then all of a sudden, when they get hit, oh man, I don't want to miss out on this, or I don't want to stop doing that, or blah, blah, blah. And then fuck it, out the window. Well, I'll just play it safe, or maybe I'll sneak out. I just won't talk to anybody about it. They don't get it.
Yeah.
Because stunad.
Yeah. And on your question 3 minutes ago about Sisolak, these governors, unless they're actively COVID hoaxers and anti-maskers, fuck those people. But in states like Nevada, come on, man. Sisolak is essentially Roger Goodell. Like, he's not the boss here. He can't make any move without the approval of the casino industry. They run the state. But, most of the bosses, unless you work at that place, most of the bosses, and I'm not even talking about just the owner, the next couple of people down, they're nameless. They're like, people don't know that they're running the state. So Sisolak's the guys out front. And, I like anyone else, I love shitting all over Roger Goodell, but The league is not run by Roger Goodell. If Roger Goodell doesn't do what Jerry Jones wants to do, that's the boss. So Sisolak, he's trying. And to the point, real quick on what Brian says here, King Sisolak is a joke, but he says, to be fair, every person that you talk to, and I don't know if it's every person, but there are people in every single state who hate their governor. Hate him in the way they've handled. Obviously, Newsom is enemy number one in California. I'm from New Jersey. There's a bunch of people who hate Phil Murphy. He's the governor there. Cuomo's hated. It's like, this is a no-win situation. I mean, Christ,
everyone goes to a Bills game. Yeah,
they're morons in Michigan who are plotting to kill their governor. It's an impossible situation for the governors. But but in the end, it really comes down to us, the people on the streets, and we just have not handled it.
No, nobody has.
Nobody's
handled it.
For a governor.
Nobody has. And the thing is nobody could have predicted what we're dealing with. So when you're faced with the predicament of having to make a decision as to how to handle something or what to do, you're like, okay, what am I going to? I mean, so you have to follow protocol. You have to do the right thing. Period. End of story. You have to, and until you're cleared, and that's just it. And that's the thing that people are being selfish about it. I pray that I don't get it, because otherwise I'm screwed. You know what I mean? As a freelance writer, I get it. I'm fucked because I have to go to events to cover, to make money. You know what I mean? So, same thing with Jordan as a personal trainer. You know what I mean? He's making sure he's spacing out his clients. Instead of training daily, spacing them out. And if they have symptoms or they've been exposed, they're not allowed in his gym or near him. So it's as I cough, right?
Well, yeah, and I think a big problem that people are having, it's going on in the chat too, that people are having with the governors everywhere, is that they're not following their own stuff, and that's a huge problem for any American or any adult. Like, don't say I can't do something and then go do it. Go fuck yourself, so that's a huge thing. People are not going to be on your side when you do that.
Yeah, I want to know how Sisolak got it.
Sisolak got it?
Yeah, he did. He was positive, whatever it was, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. May have gotten it randomly, may have followed most of the rules, or may have, bent the rules and gone and done something he shouldn't have done. So and I'm sure behind the scenes, governors are like, God damn it, I got to be perfect. You do. Yep. From an optic standpoint, you have to be perfect. It sucks, but you're paid the big bucks. You're paid out front, you're not paid the big bucks. Behind the scenes, I don't know what all these guys make and gals make, because they seem awfully interested in being career politicians for 40 years. So they're making money somehow, and somehow they become millionaires while they're serving in office, making their somewhat decent salary, not on their way to millions. But that's the story for another day. So, all right, well, good feedback on that. Can I lighten things up just a little bit? And I'm not sure that Allie's in on this one, but I'll just mention it real quick. Cobra Kai.
Oh,
no spoilers. No spoilers. No spoilers in the chat room.
No spoilers in the chat room, or you're getting booted.
Actually, Willie's gonna hunt you down and put his boot in your ass.
He'll bench you.
The show's good. It's funny, man. It's so funny.
Let me pull it up. I don't even. You asked me earlier. And I don't even know the episode number, because I just log in. It just automatically plays the next one that's up.
Yeah.
So
you lose track. You're like, I don't even know what episode I'm on.
It shows here that I'm on season 3, episode 5. So I must have watched the first 4. I just pulled up the Netflix app. So I have, I've after either I get up and go do cardio first thing in the morning, or right after lifting, like today. I go up and do my cardio, and I try to do like about 10, 12 minutes, and then I put it on, because they're only 30-minute episodes. So that way I can get about 45 minutes of cardio. So I just had the one where Daniel goes back to Okinawa. But I will say that the corniness that I've seen in the acting from the original the 2 original main characters, so far, this is probably the best season. as far as overall acting is concerned from them, because I said this last week when we talked, is I felt that the new actors, these young actors have carried the show. I still think Ralph Macchio is corny as hell, but I think that this is a good season. Did you watch the whole thing, Steve?
I did. I finished it tonight, and
Oh man,
for Twitter on the shitter, there's every show is always going to have detractors, and here's the thing: the show is. I don't think the show is for younger people. I think it's for folks who are children of the 80s and 90s and watch Karate Kid and see all the references, cheesy references, and the character of Johnny is just he's just goofy and stupid at times, and he plays it really well. I think a lot of it's an age thing. Like if you came in and you never saw the Karate Kid, because think of it, there's no like thrill, like, oh my God, it's all the characters are back. And as you go along, there's more characters to come back from the movie.
Yes.
There's more flashbacks to the movie.
Yes.
So not everyone is going to like it. I started thinking about it, and I'm actually stealing the topic from my girlfriend. She looked at me last night. We're at like episode 7, and we laugh and we look at each other. It's funny, and the fight scenes are interesting, and they've really, some of the kids are like really developing like really nasty characters. And by the way, Kreese, that he is such a big part. He's such a good actor in being the heel. That's great too. But here's a question for everyone in the chat room, and also Allie and Willie. And I'm putting you on the spot here, because it's not easy. Think about other movies of the 80s and 90s that you could make into a television show that could go 3 seasons with most of the original cast and be good. Because they've tried to bring back 90210, and my God, it was terrible.
That was
awful.
terrible.
Oh my God, it was so good. Are you crazy?
What?
Was
I couldn't get through like the first episode and a half.
Allie, you like the redo, you like the new one last year that they tried to do?
I thought they approached it really, really well, because you couldn't just hook up with those same characters doing whatever those characters would be doing now. So approaching it as the actors playing the characters, and then having like this storyline of someone's doing something 90210 and sabotaging something. I thought they freaking nailed that. Loved it.
I didn't like it.
What didn't you like?
I just didn't. I don't know. I think the thing that makes it work with Cobra Kai is it's the two main characters, Kreese, and then the occasional return of some characters from the movies. But it's the kids. It's the storyline of the kids. Are completely different storylines where it just felt like they were forcing you on Kelly and I can't think of all their names, Brandon and Brenda, and so on. It felt like they were forcing you on these characters, and Tori's plastic surgery work just was distracting. I love Jenny Garth. I think Jenny's a fantastic actress. I just thought that they were forcing the characters back onto us, whereas Cobra Kai, Johnny and Daniel they're older and grown up, and they've moved on, but they got, like I said, it's all these young actors that are carrying the show. Whereas 90210, it's the same people, and like you said, it's the storylines fitting them right back into the characters, and I don't know, I just didn't like it, and I love the original 90210.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't have guessed that about you, because you're such a macho man. But it was a great show.
I dug it because it was just after the teenage years, and just as I was transitioning to 21, 22, whatever, So I was still sort of into those shows, and then they hit the college years and so on when they got to adulthood. So I dug the Beverly Hills 90210, but the new one, no. And I can't think of an 80s movie.
You know what?
That could pull it off, like you were talking about.
Take a look tonight, because I started to look through. I looked through like the top 100 movies of the 80s.
Okay.
And one, you have what they're doing with Karate Kid and Cobra Kai and how well it works, and you're trying to measure it against that. We came up with a lot of the same ones that people in the chat room did, like 16 Candles, like Where Are They Now? Breakfast Club, How Are They Now? The thing that works so well. Hold on one second. The thing that works so well with Karate Kid into Cobra Kai is that you had you had villain, good guy, villain. Now they flipped it on you. They have you constantly questioning who is the good guy, who's the villain. There's only so many movies where they can do that. And you're right. Then you've got the kids all into the karate thing. You've got like the clash of 80s culture with Johnny against 2020 culture. Like you gotta like just looking like in the case of 90210, it's like, hey, how are they doing now is not enough to make a great TV series.
I got one.
You need villains and adversaries and lives destroyed and lives turned out to be a lot better than you thought they were going to.
Well, first of all, wait.
Cobra Kai is paying you to promote their show. That's what I'd really like to know. Are you on the payroll? Because
let me squash something real quick here because I'm seeing the chat room and Allie, you brought up 902. Let's squash remaking a TV show into a series on Netflix. I don't think that's just a horrible idea. We're talking about movies into a TV show, and I got one for you that I think would be hilarious if they could pull it off. Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That was another one we mentioned.
Where are they now? And bringing. Can you imagine Spicoli's kids and then at high school? That would be fantastic.
Could you get Sean Penn to do it? That's the other thing that's magical here is everyone came back and did it. I don't know how much Elizabeth Shue is in, this season or even moving forward. But the fact that they got almost everyone to do it who's alive, obviously Pat Morita can't do it. That's another thing you need. Like someone put up the movie Friday and then he was like, well, half the cast has died. So that kind of makes it tough.
Yeah.
But Fast Times at Ridgemont, I mean.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. Phoebe Cates, obviously. I mean, for us, that was the scene, right, Steve? Back then, when we were kids or teenagers, whatever, that was the scene, man. That was it. For a long time. That was the scene, and we didn't have
Reinhold in the bathroom.
We did not have YouTube and smartphones, whatever. We were counting on VHS tapes back then. To rewind.
Well, there, my God, we're not going to go off on The Sopranos here, but Raphael says. Sopranos with Anthony Jr. as the boss. That could be a good sequel. I don't know if that would work with his character. The movie they're doing, what is it, The Saints of Newark or whatever it's called? That's actually that's a prequel, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That comes out in March. I saw the poster. Got the poster.
I'm fired up about that.
I am definitely fired up about that.
I have to pee so bad, but my nails are wet right now, so that's just what's going on in my little box of this screen.
I feel you.
By the way, is Sean Penn too big for a return series?
Yeah, but I like what someone said about Trevor Lawrence playing him, or at least that's a great idea. That's good.
Who was it?
Totally wouldn't have.
What happened?
By the way, this could be one.
That would be, yeah.
And they brought Phoebe Cates, and that made me think that Drop Dead Fred would be a cool one.
Okay,
like that would be a running thing of having.
And don't forget, Cobra Kai is only used. The main characters are back. It's just the two rivals, and then you have increase, but you have the occasional. I mean, Pat Morita's dead. They're using clips of when Daniel's trying to, and now season 3 they're bringing these people, and then season 2 they had the old Cobra Kai for cameos, but where they're not needing the entire cast to create it. So we don't need that in some of these shows. Some of these. Or if we're trying to figure out an old movie to turn into a series, you don't need the whole cast. You just need a couple.
Weekend at Bernie's.
That would be like Dateline, like if that was a series, then we've got a serial killer going on. I tried to make that work, but it didn't. But yeah, and there's a smell factor there.
This is well, I mean, if you're dragging around Bernie for another 30 episodes over 3 seasons. What about there's got to be some
of these already are TV shows. They're just not like spin-offs of the movie, but it's the same gist of what's actually going on.
How about Weird Science?
Yeah, I was going to say there's got to be some thrillers though, like Fatal Attraction or movies like that could use a continuation.
Yeah.
With some of the same players. Here's again, you bring up the uniqueness of Karate Kid 30 years later becoming a TV show. Like a lot of hit movies in the 80s featured 40 and 50-year-olds. They're fucking old now.
Yeah.
Like Yes. Macchio is old. He's 50. Believe it or not, he's actually 59.
Yeah.
But
Do you
he's
know
not
the first TV show he was
75.
in? Do you remember the first show he was in?
No.
I don't know if it was his first one, but it was the first one I saw him in. You know, he was in Eight Is Enough. Do you remember him in Eight Is
really?
Enough?
I remember him in Outsiders. That's my first.
He was the white. I don't even remember the Bradford. The father remember the wife married into all those kids. He was her nephew. And he came into that show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I do remember him in The Outsiders. The Outsiders was a good movie. You think about the stars that were in that movie.
Old Pat, old C. Thomas,
Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez.
Emilio was like my man. You don't even know. Like growing up, that was my number one, like first boyfriend who I was ever in love with. And then when Paula Abdul, who was like also my hero, married him, I was like done with them both in 7th grade. We're good here. On that, I'm going to go pee.
Paula Abdul did a concert here at the Thomas and Mack, and it was when they first started doing Summerfest and so on and so forth. And I'll never forget, she did an audition for a local club. That's when Club Dancers was in, and we were all at the Shark Club and Chaz and Premier and Tramps. And she did an audition for local club dancers, and the ones that you had to go down there and audition, and whoever she picked, you got to learn a routine and dance on stage with her for the concert. That's how she ran her summer circuit. She was like giving a shout out because she was a dancer, right? That's what she was known for. She was a dancer, so she was having people. That's how she was like giving them a chance, and that's how J-Lo got her. She was on In Living Color. She was a dancer on In Living Color. So anyway. Bad News Bears. They did try to make a TV series out of that.
Did they?
Yeah. I think in the 80s. It's horrible.
But this is one of the great skin flicks when you were a kid.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, who didn't want to see Mrs. Balbreaker naked? I'm kidding. But the little peephole in the girls' locker room, it's like, oh man. That's
Lassie, right? Was the girlfriend, was the woman, was the actress from Sex and the City.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, who was there was Sarah Jessica Parker,
Kim Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall. Kim Cattrall was I don't think I can think. Yeah, Lassie.
I know what you're talking about though. Yeah, she got into it.
She was mannequin too. Kim Cattrall was a mannequin.
Exactly.
Remember that?
She wasn't mannequin. Yeah. I think I just saw somebody comment. The person who commented with Bad News Bears, Murray and Callie. That's my boy Murray Anderson. He checked in on Facebook. I told him where to go. I'm sure that's Murray. He used to work here at the Review Journal at the View newspaper, and now he's back in El Centro. Yeah. So what's up?
I have no idea on the answer to this one. Was the kid who played Kelly Leak? Did he ever do anything after Bad News Bears? Did he have any career?
He was in some movie. I can't think of what the movie was. In the 80s, it was like early 80s. It was like an American Graffiti movie, or I don't think it was American Graffiti, but it was some type of. Maybe it was, but he was in something. Earl.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Jackie Earl Haley. Yes. I don't think he did anything after that. I like Bad News Bears and Bad News Bears Breaking Training. Tony Curtis was kind of funny. He had some good one-liners when they in Bad News Bears went to Japan. That was a trilogy. That it was all right. I mean, the first Breaking Training I thought was great. I thought that was a good second movie. I don't know what Kelly Leak's up to.
Yeah, he did do some things later in his career. He's had I don't even remember this movie. Little Children. Does anyone else remember that?
I don't
that was
know.
in 2006. So he was nominated for an Academy Award. So he's had a career.
Oh, wow.
He's been doing stuff up until, here and there, basically once a year or something, small part. TV too, up until like 2018. He's only 60. I guess he was in Narcos for a couple episodes. He was in Preacher. He must have been sort of a main character. He was in 8 episodes there. Yeah, so he's had a career. Good for him.
Losing It. I didn't realize he was in Losing It. I remember Losing It.
Kelly Leak, the great Kelly Leak. So, Allie, we kind of scraped over or passed by what you were saying about quarantine. So, how long are you going to be in quarantine?
I guess 14 days, right? Isn't that the deal? I already have my test scheduled this time. I know how to handle it. Yeah, so I have my test scheduled for Thursday, and then we'll see what happens from there, and yada yada yada.
But once you get tested and you're negative, then you don't have to keep quarantining, right? Or no?
I've heard it both ways that you do have to, because it could have not showed up yet.
Oh.
So I don't really know. I just kind of do the 14-day thing because it helps me focus. But I just want to know if I have symptoms or something like that, and I don't want to pass it to anybody else. So, I'll just hole up.
Steve, do you get tested for like randomly?
After 10 days since your exposure, that's what it is. Adam said it. Then you're okay if you're testing negative.
Now, if you keep testing.
I heard a question, Willie. I don't. I should, but we've also been told, hey, don't jam up the testing system. But yeah, frankly, I'm out enough at casinos doing Thursdays and Fridays at least through January that I probably should go at least once a month to get a test. I've had 2 tests so far because of potential contacts. So luckily, no positive.
I think there's a Walgreens by my house that I can get tested. They take the Aetna health insurance, and I just haven't gone. I haven't really been anywhere. The gym, and it sounds crazy, but I still believe that the gyms, the ones I go to at least, because I try not to go to the big box ones. The EOS that I go to is very small. I try to, limit the contact, whatever. But everybody's wearing a mask, and the EOS people are fanatics. I mean, the employees are walking around wiping things down. The people that are going to the gyms don't want gyms to close down, so they're constantly wiping down.
Awesome.
The EOS I go to, when I walk in, they hand me my own bottle and rag, so I don't have to keep going back and forth to the station to get the paper towel. I just walk around with the bottle and the rag because I already know.
I've heard some other chains have not been so vigilant.
The EOS that I went to wasn't clean enough in the first place. I'd already complained about it. And so and also, how I feel about working out. So I was like, ugh. First of all, I kind of thought that I caused the coronavirus because I got a gym membership. I was like, is that what just happened? I made a tear in the fabric of the universe. But so, yeah, I had to boom. Dirty gyms, let's revoke that membership immediately after 2 months of having it. Yeah. So, yeah, no. But that's cool that you have a clean one, because the one that I went to was not clean enough in the first place. So I'm out.
Put Marcus's quote back up there. I get what he's saying.
Awesome.
If I'm going to quarantine, I'm not going to worry about whether I have it or not until I get sick, which I get. But the problem is if you're asymptomatic, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
If you've gotten rid of it. But I definitely get what you're saying. If I got to be indoors, then screw it. I'm not going to get tested. But the problem is if you're asymptomatic and the people that have been exposed or eventually got tested and were positive and never felt a thing, you're not going to know when you got rid of it. So
isn't there a peace of mind when you have a positive test and you're asymptomatic and you get through it, knowing that in all likelihood you're not going to get it again?
What's going on with this mutation thing, though? I keep hearing about the mutation. That's bad.
Right now, I keep hearing about the new Murray. There's a story behind what Murray just quoted. I keep hearing about this new strain.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Mutate, yeah, because virus vaccine, whatever. Viruses mutate and change up, and that's what they were predicting would happen, and now it's happening. And so, yeah, we have the vaccine for this, but now it's turned into that, and so we don't have the vaccine for that. So, what do we do now? Okay, he says if you're still good. I'm not getting a vaccine. I'm not doing that vaccine business. I'm not growing any arms out of my freaking ears. That's how I feel about that vaccine. No.
I'm getting it as soon as I can.
Nope.
I'm sure I'm way down the list, but I am getting it. I am a pro-vaxxer.
I have a
I will deal
doctor's
with the side effects.
appointment next week. It's my normal quarterly checkup, and I'm going to talk to her. I know that the last time we talked on the phone or did the telemedicine, because I haven't been in the office for since all this, we've done telemedicine. She was big time telling me to go get the flu shot, which I've never gotten. So her and I are going to discuss things, and I do have to get my my labs done on Monday. I always make an appointment Thursday or Friday, and I get my labs done on Monday. So I'm hoping that you'll order another antibody test, because the last time I got the antibody test, it came back heavy, strong.
Really?
Yeah. So that's how I knew I had it. I didn't know I had it other than the fact that it had to have been that, because it kicked the ever-living shit out of me, especially for a 48-hour period. Like, you could feel it coming on, and then there's this 48-hour period where you're just done. And then you wake up in a puddle of sweat. That's what I did, and I knew I sweated it out. But it was never confirmed, because they would not test me at the hospital, because it was that first couple of weeks when they were so limited. And everything else came back healthy. You know, my heart was good. My oxygen level, everything was good, and the flu test was negative. So they wouldn't give me the COVID test. They said, just go quarantine, stay at home. So I did, and a few days later, I sweated it out. It just kicked the ever-living shit out of me. Then months later, when I got the antibody test, she said, your levels were really high. That's how I knew I actually had it.
Allie, you want to answer this one? Vegas Bill says, you will follow quarantine guidelines, but are anti-vax. Makes no sense. Are you anti-vax in general, or are you just anti this vax?
I'm pretty anti-vax in general. Just one of my best girlfriends has, I don't want to like tell her story, but has her story with her kid and whatnot. So I don't know. I witnessed it all firsthand. And so I'm just anti-vax. And I mean, I don't take medicine. I mean, I drink beer and I smoke pot, you know, I don't take pills. I don't take medicine. I don't want shots. It's just not my thing. So I don't want the government sticking something in me right now. And I'm just good on that. I'm just good. You know, if it kept me from traveling internationally, then like I would maybe consider it if I had to do it then. But no, I wouldn't. No, I need like a year or two of this to be in people's systems and see what side effects are. I mean, how many freaking commercials can we watch about like if you're losing your hair, growing an arm out of your ear, if you shit blue, if this happens, then you might not want to take this anti-anxiety pill. You know, like this is a freaking thing that they're sticking into us. I'm not into it. Yeah, of course, Adam. Exactly.
What if they make a nice?
I'm not into it. I don't want those things in my body, and I'm like, I feel like I'm always defending myself on the show, but I don't have to. You know, I don't have to. Yes, I do want polio, Brady. I've just been waiting for someone to come along and give it to me. It's just unfortunate that, you know, FDR's not around. I don't know. Too bad. That's a video clip or a soundbite you could take completely out of context. I'm just waiting for somebody to give it to me. Ba-dum-bum. I'm still stuck on the show. Not into it. I don't know what to say. I'm just not into it. Hey, look, Allie, I'm still stuck on the show from a few months ago and I was just watching. I was a spectator, and you said, "Hey, my kids know every day at 2:00 it's my time for about 20 minutes," and I blah blah blah. I'd laugh for days after that about that one. Do you remember that, Steve, or no?
Well, say it again. I'm sorry.
You guys were talking about something, and Allie said that every single day. She said, "My kids know to leave me alone around 2:00, and I take my time for myself." Blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Well, that's why I'm explaining why quarantine was so hard the first time, was because I didn't have my break. And I have one kid. I don't have kids. Let's not get crazy. But he doesn't know. It's just school's out. And I'm like, all right, out of the house. School's over. Go ride a bike. Go do something. Need a break.
Got to get my release.
Yeah. Need a break. Need a little break. Don't have a dude that lives here anymore. So, you know, got to get in where you fit in, you know.
This is interesting from KC Rally Mantis. He says it's been since 2009, the last time I had the flu. And I think he said, and the flu shot. So he hasn't had either.
Yeah.
You know, I saw someone comment the other day on Twitter about getting the cold, like getting a cold. Did you guys out? I mean, COVID is awful, Willie. So it sucks that you went through that. Were you sick any other time during this year?
I was sick going into it. Adam can attest to this. Adam was up on press row. Dude, the start of the Golden Knight season, I was
Yep.
hacking up a lung, but it had nothing to do with COVID. I have this it's a form of acid reflux in my larynx that I'm on medication for. I cough all the fucking time. I've been coughing. I've been muting myself and coughing during the show.
Crazy,
Has
yeah.
nothing to do with COVID. I went to
Yeah.
a pulmonologist. I was getting my lungs checked. I was scared that I had fucking tumors in my shit. It finally went to an ear, nose, throat specialist. So I have sinus blockage. The cupping therapist I go to, she did like this thing with to clear the sinuses. I was at the pharmacy today, and they're saying, do the Mucinex, Willie, you'll be fine. So as far as sick, I was never sick otherwise, but I just have this constant cough. I feel like a hypocrite when I show up and I have to answer those questions. I was telling this to one of the PR guys for one of the local teams. It's like, dude, some of these questions need to be more related just to COVID. Because when they ask me, do you have a cough or are your muscles sore? Fuck, daily. My muscles are sore because I'm fucking squatting 300 pounds every 3 days. I cough because I got this issue with my throat and my lungs. But I don't have COVID. But, so they should be due to COVID. Do you feel that blah, 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 blah. I've had that one time, I think I've been questioned. Have you been coughing because of COVID, or have you been exposed to COVID, or do you have muscles? Do you have the symptoms because of that are due to? But in general, I mean, what if you have a chronic smoker, cigarette smoker that has smoker's cough, and they ask you, do you cough? What are you going to say? You have to say no, because if you say yes, then you're going to be, from my understanding, and I'm not going to reveal who it is, and I'm not going to reveal the media outlet, but there was one local media person who had the question at a specific event, and this person was asked, it had to do with being exposed. And the person was, but it was passed. The person was cleared. It was done, but it was within a certain time, the testing, so on. And the person said yes. And one of the screeners looked and said, I won't be able to let you in if you put yes, wink, wink, and redid the form. So in your mind, you're thinking, well, fuck, if you're doing that with one person, how many others are you doing it? And how many are not as responsible as that person was? Because I know for a fact that person was in the clear. They were just being honest. Just like if I were to walk in tomorrow, to Golden Knights practice, do you cough? I say it all the time. I joke with them all the time. Are your muscles sore? Do you have muscle soreness? I go, yeah, because I bench pressed last night. But at least I'm telling the truth, but I'm explaining at the same time. So anyway.
Right.
Allie, did you have a cold all year?
I've not been sick one time. I don't want to say that, but like I really don't get sick. And when I do, it's for like a week in December, and I didn't get sick this year. So
if we're putting two and two together, is one of the things that was good that came out of COVID, one, being isolated more, not being in contact with the public. For me, not going into the radio station, which is a fucking petri dish, because there are a lot of scumbags at the station and we're all speaking to the same microphone. And I'm a scumbag, but this year I wash my hands all the time and put sanitizer on. I don't remember having some like crazy cold the entire year. I'm not saying 320, whatever it's up to now, 350,000 people who died. It was all worth it because I didn't get a cold. But I'm just saying one of the side effects of this whole thing was I don't think I got a cold. And, I just listed the reasons why. And maybe all of us, if you didn't suffer from the common cold, maybe all of us should take this moving forward that shaking hands is bullshit. You don't need to do it. Working from home probably is the better option if you can do it. And yes, actually cleaning yourself, like probably overdoing it from what you ever did before, that's a good thing.
I'm reading comments, but yes, I one thing I've definitely embraced is the elbow bump.
Yep.
The elbow bump. I was a big dap and hugger. Unlike Adam, I was a big, hey, what's up, whatever to certain people. I don't even do that anymore. I don't even do that. I'm all about the elbow bumps, and I don't care who it is.
No, this is not me on the whole bathroom thing. I'm pretty careful in public bathrooms. So I was I was an elbow the door open or grab the sleeve and put it over my hand to pull the men's room's door. I've been that way for a long time. So I know people are scuzzballs in the bathroom. So if they're touching their wiener, I don't want to touch their wiener by proxy. You know what I mean? That's how you get cold.
Do you remember that episode of Friends when Chandler and Joey are talking about using the soap and Chandler's like, you can't use my soap. And Joey's like, why not? It's self-cleaning. It's soap. And Chandler goes, well, think about the last thing that I wash and the first thing that you wash. And then
that's actually one of the common clips on Instagram. If you hit the search, the explore button, it now on the upper right corner, it has the Reels. It's Reels, which is its version of TikTok. And Friends, or if you like something, it'll continue to show you. So Friends is one of the clips where I'll click like every so often, so it continually shows the different clips. And that's one of the clips, that scene.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Secondhand wiener. Nobody wants secondhand wiener. Okay.
Last topic tonight, and I think this one may fall flat because I know I don't care, but I think other people do. And I saw some folks saying they were outraged. What do you guys think of the NHL divisions now being sponsored? They've all got a title sponsor. So the Golden Knights are now in the Honda Western division. And there were a lot of people who were really pissed, and some people in the hockey world who were pissed.
It was a little bit of a talk up. It was a little bit of a talk up at City National today, and one of the media members was like, "Oh, rolled their eyes and was like, oh, well, now I got to cheer for this division, so on and so forth." But
who was the media member?
It was, I want to say,
young person or old person.
No, it was a younger guy. It was a younger guy. And it's not a bad thing. He wasn't even slamming. It was like, I guess now I'll be writing about my prediction for the Honda West division. I think it was Justin. I'm not slamming Justin.
I don't know Justin, but is there some sort of does AP style dictate that you have to write the sponsor of a bowl game, or that you have to write? Write a stadium sponsor, or that you have to go the Western Division sponsor. Give me a break. Come on.
I have my hand raised. So I feel this because I just had to do all the bowl games for picks and parlays. We went through all the bowl game free picks videos. I don't call it the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. It's the Fiesta Bowl because PlayStation doesn't pay me money. So like with all of them, I just call them, you're the Peach Bowl. You're not the, what is it, a Chick-fil-A or some shit? Or I don't know, whatever you are, I'm doing it right now, but I'm getting royalties somewhere in the future. Anyway, but the point is I'm not calling you that. I'm not advertising your company. It's going to be written on something, but just me personally, I'm not buying into that.
Yeah. And a lot of people are making the point. Hey, listen, the NHL ain't exactly, swimming in cash right now. So you like the sport, you want to survive, you better sell everything you can.
Yeah. I don't mind that they're doing it. I'm just not going to promote whatever it is.
Right.
I promote sports.
Yeah, nobody's writing the sponsor when you're writing the story. It's the West. You know what I mean? You're not, the only way you're writing something is if it's actually called the Chick-fil-A Bowl, or if it's the something and there's no other name for it, then that's what it's called. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's there was a while where, what was it called, Steve? When the Royal Purple Las Vegas, it's always the Las Vegas Bowl. But how many sponsors does that thing have? I've never called it the Pioneer Las Vegas Bowl, the Mako Las Vegas Bowl. It's just the Las Vegas Bowl. That's for the TV when they put the logo up, or when they're there, or when, like, for instance, the Las Vegas Bowl. For Mark Wallington as the media guy, when he's going to send his releases out or his tweets or whatever it is, you're going to add the sponsor. But at this point, who gives a fuck if that's what they want to do? I mean, Pittsburgh, the beat writer from Pittsburgh was tweeting out the helmet that now PPG paints is now on the helmet. Hey, we're in dire straits. I got news for you. Everybody that's being HIPAA fucking critical, I got news for everybody that's bitching about fucking sponsors. If somebody ponied up a fucking $10,000 and said, I want you to walk around Las Vegas with my sponsor on your shirt, someone's taking the fucking money. At this point, we're in dire straits. So there are some people that are going to have to wear some, I mean, can't tell me that everybody that's being hypocritical or critical about this wouldn't wear somebody's, logo. I mean, I'm walking around everything that I'm doing everywhere I'm going. I'm wearing my kid's apparel. I'm wearing his gym. I'm wearing a perfect hoodie right now. So that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's not that I'm opposed to it. And like Brady had mentioned, I would way rather have sports and have sports have money than not have sports and have sports with money. So don't get me wrong. No one's paying me to advertise PlayStation, though. So personally, I just don't want to say those words. But I agree that the sports need money and you get it however you can. That's period. That's just
Brady brought up the MAF bench sponsor. Would the Vegas would that be a sword company? Could you get a sword company to sponsor that?
Is anyone mad that 38-year-old Ed Bernstein is behind the bench?
Yeah.
The picture of Ed. I love that banner. It's the greatest thing ever.
And doesn't he sit right near the bench?
I'm sure he does. Yeah.
I think his seats are right near the bench too.
The Knights are like, you're the official attorney of the. You're not. There's 7. There's 7 attorneys. Believe me, and Lotus Broadcasting ain't one to sit here and be like, taking money. It's you're starting to sell too much. Like we're all trying to survive at this point. So,
but right now, Steve,
I think most people. I don't want to say this to advertisers. I think most people watching, you got to be creative with the way you do it. And most people kind of tune it out once it becomes a constant scene for them. They don't even notice the sponsors. And if it's on the helmet or the jersey, the boards, just.
Yeah. I will say that Dustin DeHart from Nova Home Loans is drilled into my fucking brain from one series with the Aviators.
This year, Dustin and I are going to improve your living situation. By the way, I will have nothing to do with it, but I will push you to Dustin.
That and whenever I go online, if it's early in the morning or if it's during Cofield and Company, I automatically pull up a different internet app on my laptop, and it automatically goes to LV Sports Network. And the very first thing is, I think the very first pop-up ad is Knockv.
Yeah.
So
it's everywhere. It's not enough.
But tonight it's all about battle-born injury lawyers.
Yeah.
Well, I always have the signage behind me. That's a good point. I forgot. See what I mean? I forget that it's behind me. These people are very nice. They're very generous. They keep us in business. So very much in business. All right, guys. We could talk for hours, but we'll cut it off, and we got a lot more to get to later in the week. Allie, before we get you out of here, we never do justice to picks and parlays. So what the hell is going on with Total Chaos?
Yes, let me tell you. Okay, so you guys heard it here first when I said I've got this idea for Total Chaos. I'm going to start trying it out. And so the concept of the show was for NFL to go through every game on the NFL card on Sunday and have 2 handicappers pick, does it go over or under, right? Real rapid fire, 2-3 quick points. And it started out with me and Kurt Alexander. And guess what? I'm not that into football. So once it started getting a following, I started adding the picks and parlays, like professional, real expert handicappers in, and it's been phenomenal. We're getting our NFL last week got 3.6 thousand views. So it's doing really, really well. The guy who won Total Chaos, because now the 2 handicappers go head to head. And if you lose, you go basically to a different sport and play that winner. Chip Chirimbus has won 3 in a row. He was 11-5 last week, which was incredible. So anyway, what I want to tell you guys about is that this is my most ambitious week of Total Chaos ever. Tomorrow we're doing college basketball with Dan Kaiser, the professor. This guy's amazing. He called Smith winning the Heisman. And Craig Trapp, who's the boss of Picks and Parlays. Wednesday Total Chaos is NBA. It's Nick Parsons from the Insiders Room and Kurt Alexander. Friday, we're doing the NFL Total Chaos, which will be Chip Chirimbus returning. He's won 3 in a row for his 4th time. He's going up against someone I can't think of right now, probably Sean Higgs. And then on Tuesday, we're doing NHL Total Chaos for the Wednesday show. And that's our Canadian crew, Nick Parsons and Kurt Alexander. So there's 4 of them coming up in just the next 7 days alone, which is crazy. But if you cruise over to Picks and Parlays, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, then you won't miss it. Or just Google or YouTube search Total Chaos Picks and Parlays, because it's really, really fun. And I'm super proud of it. Like, this was my idea. This is my little baby. And now, like, tons of people are watching it and stuff. And it's going to be a good week. So I just want to, give Picks and Parlays a shout out, because I feel like I don't. Enough.
That's awesome, Allie. That's very cool. And you know what? Chip Chirimbus is an OG in that industry. I mean, we talk about Dave Koken a lot, but I mean, he goes way back. Chip was part of that original crew that was on USA Network with Jim Feist, and they were on the TV and everything, and they started with the tout shows and everything.
Chip is so good. I mean, him and Sean Higgs had a Total Chaos 2 weeks ago. Chip was 7-1 and Higgs was 6-2, and their consensus picks were 5-0. I mean, that's how good some of these guys are, and everybody on the show is in the top 20 of our handicappers on the leaderboard. So, except maybe Kurt, but he's a newbie, so he's getting there. But I mean, they're really strong handicappers. I tell everyone the consensus picks are your valuable ones, but I mean, it's a great show. And if you like betting on totals, especially if you're not good at betting on totals, it's just a cool show to watch. And it's fun, and I keep it competitive, and there's banter. We always say, like, I'll get in the bus with you when they agree. Sean Higgs tells Chip Chirimbus, I'm going to get in the elderly bus with him. So there's like a fun banter and, all that stuff. But I would love for you guys to check it out. So, YouTube or Facebook, Picks and Parlays, that's where you can find it.
Do it. Support Allie. And Willie, what's the plan for January for your Vegas reminiscing?
Friday. I'm in the middle of transcribing and writing. The interview with Steven Sharippa was phenomenal, hour long, and it would have went longer. I had to cut the interview off because I thought the Zoom was going to stop on me. We got to talking about things where I would talk and he would talk, and then it turned, we were in the same circle. We had to have crossed paths. We had to have been around, I mean, the guy is just unreal. I'm listening to Talking Super. Now we message almost every day. The last Talking Sopranos that I listened to, he's telling a story to Imperioli back in the day, because it was about the episode where Jimmy Altieri gets killed. And he's talking about foot fetishes. And he said, I knew a guy back in the day in Las Vegas who, if a woman had the third toe was bigger than the big toe, and da. And in my mind, I'm going, he's going to say Frankie's name. He's going to say DJ Frankie. And sure enough, he tells the story of how this girl was perfect all around, but then she disappears and went into the closet and was muffling some clothes on purpose loudly and farted. And he got dressed and said, that's it. I can't do it, because he was so picky in this fetish about women. But it's funny because he's talking about a guy who gave me my first start as a DJ. So I'm texting Frankie. Anyway, point being is the conversation was phenomenal. Billy Walters called me from California. He gave me some quotes for the old school stuff. Mark Rich is an old school DJ who owns pizzerias. He moved away from the DJing industry and decided to open pizzerias. I got quotes from him, got quotes from Frankie, got quotes from John L. Smith, native Nevadan, who's a columnist. So I am fucking so excited about it, because I've had more people tell me that either that have been here or that haven't and are just fascinated by stuff that you hear about Old Vegas that they can't read it. So as it turns out, it's going to be pretty cool, above and beyond having Steven Sharippa as the guest of the main guest. So
that's killer. Please, 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 like, tag me in this or let me know that it's happening. Like, I'm an old Vegas family too. I feel like you probably know my cousins, like the Lacasanos. I feel like you probably know some of my cousins or something. But yeah. Well, yeah. My grandma was a blackjack dealer. My grandpa was a bookie and a cab driver. So.
AC Rally Mantis. I am not on Mountain Dew. I'm actually just been drinking water. I'm just fired up about this episode, and whenever Steve messages me to come on, I make sure that I try to get a power nap in so I can stay up, because I'm really not up late. He always messages me. He says, hey, are you going to be awake tonight? Because he knows I'm usually crashed out and up early. So but no, Mountain Dew is not my thing.
Willie, we appreciate you doing it on short notice. So We're trying to get Alex back up and running on Tuesdays. Eventually, he'll be back up. But Willie's definitely part of the mix now. We love having Willie on. He's awesome, high energy stuff, and I love all the Vegas stuff. So check this out up on Spotify and iTunes. We do the auto version and iHeart and Google Podcasts. So we're trying to build it and hopefully have a big 2021. And you guys